In the past, we've looked at the best current NBA players from every NBA team and ranked them. And for today, we're looking at the best all-time player from every team. Not ranking them though, because for all-time players that can get way too complicated, but for this one, there's two rules. We can use the same player more than once, and when deciding who's the best from each team, we're basing it only on how good they played while playing for that team. So we wouldn't say Jordan was the best Wizards player of all time. He'd only make it on the Bulls, and since I just gave that one away, I guess that's where we'll start. Jordan's obviously Chicago's best all-time player, and there's a huge gap between him and their second best in Scottie Pippen. And speaking of the Boston Celtics all-time best player isn't as obvious though. Some would say Bill Russell, others Larry Bird. Russell brought Boston way more success, but Bird is usually ranked higher all time, so this one really just depends on who you ask. Someone's spot who may eventually get taken though is Dirk Nowitzki for the Mavs, because he's easily the Mavericks' best all-time player by a huge margin. League MVP, NBA champion, Finals MVP, multiple-time All-Star, changed the game for big men, and had one of the greatest playoff runs ever. It's going to be an extremely difficult task to take this spot, but if anyone's going to do it one day, it's going to be Luka. And if he wants to take it, he'll have to at least win an MVP and a championship. And sure, it's only his second season, but he's still very far off of that. For the Milwaukee Bucks best player, you might have had Giannis in mind right off the bat, but actually he's nowhere near close because Kareem takes this one still by a long shot. Sure, Giannis is a two-time MVP and Defensive Player of the Year, but while with the Bucks, Kareem won a championship, Finals MVP, 3 MVP awards, was a multiple-time All-Star, 2-time scoring champ, led the league in blocks, averaged 35 and 16 in his best season, averaged 3.5 blocks a game in the 2 seasons he played for the Bucks after blocks started getting recorded, and made the All-First and All-Defensive First teams multiple times. So yeah, Giannis is good, but not that good. Another player that might come to mind as the Houston Rockets best player of all time is James Harden, but for as good as he was there, he definitely doesn't beat out Hakeem Olajuwon, who was one of the best two-way players ever and won 2 championships for Houston. For the Charlotte Hornets, their future's bright, and with the way things are going, LaMelo Ball honestly has a chance to take the spot if he keeps playing as well as he has. He has the potential, he's a 6'8 guard, and he's had multiple huge games already as a rookie, but he has to keep it up if he wants to beat out Kemba Walker. Shouldn't be too hard though, considering Kemba only led Charlotte to the playoffs twice. But nobody is going to take the Cavs in the Heat spot for their best player of all time, because chances are that spot will always belong to LeBron James. And same goes for the Spurs. To take Tim Duncan's spot as their best ever, it won't happen for at least 10 to 20 years. Tim's the best power forward of all time. We'd have to see a player get drafted or traded while they were young to San Antonio, play there their entire career, and top Duncan's 5 championships, league MVP, and dominance throughout a 20-year career. So yeah, pretty unlikely. For the Indiana Pacers, Reggie Miller's without a doubt their best player. He doesn't have a ton of great stats to show for it, no MVPs, no championships, and only 5 All-Star appearances, but he just knew how to win games, leading Indiana to 6 conference finals and 1 NBA finals, and that's what really made him great. Then for the Brooklyn Nets, with Kyrie, Harden, and Durant all playing there right now, it's weird to have to say Jason Kidd's the Nets all-time best player, even though all 3 of these guys are overall more skilled than he was, but they haven't played there long enough to surpass him. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to discredit Jason Kidd, because remember, he took the Nets from being 26 and 56 without him, then showing up and leading them to 2 straight NBA finals. And that's the kind of player Jason always was. With the Golden State Warriors, surprisingly it was tough. And while I'm definitely giving this spot to Steph Curry, Will Chamberlain puts up a fight. He had his 50-point per game season with the Warriors, was a 6-time scoring champ, 6-time All-Star, 4-time rebounding leader, league MVP, and was by far his most dominant while in Golden State. But he only made it to 1 NBA finals and had multiple first-round exits in the playoffs. Plus, all that Steph's done, including helping elevate the Warriors to being the second most valuable team in the NBA, I gotta give it to him. The Memphis Grizzlies really aren't anything exciting because it goes to Marc Gasol. They really haven't had many great players throughout their history, so look for Ja Morant to maybe take the spot down the line. The Sacramento Kings spot then easily goes to Oscar Robertson. They also haven't had a ton of great players, and the ones they have had were no match for Oscar. When naming the Portland Trailblazers best player though, it's tough, because Clyde Drexler and Damian Lillard are like neck and neck. I really want to say it's Dame, but Clyde's defense, tenure with a team, and 1 NBA Finals appearance gives him the slight edge over Lillard, but I say by the end of this year or next, he's going to take over this spot. For the Atlanta Hawks, at this point in time, Dominique Wilkins takes it without question, for being a dominant small forward who averaged 30 points a game for multiple seasons. But for the fact that he never got close to making it out of the second round, it does leave room for a guy like Trae Young to take the spot in the future. If Trae gets better, continues to put up big numbers, making a big impact on the league and making big runs in the playoffs, he could one day take this one. Then Chris Paul takes the spot for the Pelicans best. Anthony Davis was easily their overall most dominant, and he's a close second behind Chris, but CP3's assists, steals, offense, defense, team leadership, and the total package that actually led his team to wins, unlike Davis, is what gives him this one. Paul always led his team to the playoffs, while Davis really didn't more often than not. And speaking of Chris Paul, I mean, call me crazy, but I have him as the Clippers' all-time best player. It's strange, most lists and things online have Blake as the best, but I don't see it. Sure, Griffin started the trend. He set the Clippers on the right path, he got people watching them with how exciting he was, and he was the most exciting part of Lob City. Plus, he played there a little longer than CP, but like I just mentioned, CP3 made them win games. No matter what, Blake would have been pretty good, but not nearly as good without Chris Paul. I would say Kawhi Leonard and Paul George now have a chance of taking this spot from him too, but I don't know that I can see either of them playing there long enough to do so. Another weird one that's up for debate is the Oklahoma City Thunder's best player. Now maybe I'm wrong for this one, but I say this one easily goes to Kevin Durant. Some people say Westbrook though, and sure, he did average triple doubles and had a great MVP year after KD left, plus he played there longer than Durant. But I just see it as Kevin was the best player on that team every single year that he played with them, and had better accomplishments while playing with Russ. Then for the Lakers spot, I gotta give it to Kobe Bryant. Sure, most everyone has Magic Johnson ranked ahead of Bryant all time, but even Magic said Kobe's the best Laker ever. His tenure there, his 5 NBA championships, and dominance over a 20-year span slightly beats out Magic's 13-year Laker career for me. For the Knicks, it's nothing too exciting. Walt Frazier beats out Patrick Ewing for bringing the team their only 2 NBA championships. With the Minnesota Timberwolves, Kevin Garnett clearly has been their best player ever, and is the only Wolves player who's ever come close to winning an MVP. Some may say Karl Anthony Towns has a chance to take this one day, and he might if he has a game-changing year like Embiid's having this season. The Utah Jazz spot for the best player goes to Karl Malone, but we don't want to talk about him since he's a creep. The Raptors' best player is Kyle Lowry. The best to ever play for them was Kawhi Leonard. He led them to their title, but for helping with their title and with his tenure there, a lot of people have Lowry as Toronto's best. The Wizards spot is a little controversial though. Bradley Beal, John Wall, and Gilbert Arenas all come to mind, but it's still gotta go to Wes Unseld. He won MVP in his rookie season and took them from being 36-46 before he was drafted to 57-25 afterwards as a rookie. And even though he didn't put up great stats his entire career, he had this kind of impact for every year he played. For the Orlando Magic, some people may say the best player to ever play for them was Shaq, others say Dwight Howard. I think it's really split 50-50 and could go either way. The two both accomplished similar things while with Orlando, but I'll take Dwight just because he played for the Magic twice as long as Shaq did. Isaiah Thomas easily takes the spot for the Pistons with no real competition. In most people's minds, Alex English also takes the Nuggets spot with no competition. At least yet, because hey, when it's all said and done, there's a good chance it'll go to Nikola Jokic, because obviously he's a star, and he's a guy I can see really playing with them his entire career. Then we have the Phoenix Suns, and it goes to Steve Nash. Nobody had the impact that he had on the Suns after joining them. Sure, Charles Barkley led Phoenix to their first NBA Finals his first year with them, but they were already a good team before he got there. Before Steve Nash, the Suns were bad, and he instantly made them title contenders and won 2 MVPs. The impact he had on his teammates was unmatched, and maybe one day Devin Booker will match his level of success, but he's not going to do it anytime soon. Then finally, we have the Philadelphia 76ers, and we're ending things out on a controversial one. I mean, you want to say Allen Iverson. He's the fan favorite. He changed a lot about the NBA and had that crazy finals run with Philly. Mostly every single list you see, though, says Julius Erving is the best player Philly's ever had. He made the All-Star team every year he was there, won an MVP, and won a championship, something Iverson couldn't. So those two are debatable. But then you look at Wilt Chamberlain's run in Philadelphia, and I know he played in the 60s, a lot less competition and all that, but how much do we penalize him for that? Because in only 4 years in Philly, he won a championship, won 3 straight MVPs, was a 2-time scoring champ, 3-time rebounding leader, and even led the league in assists. So what more could he possibly have done in that time? But I'll leave this one open for you guys to decide. Comment down below and let me know your pick for Philly's best player. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you next time.